Can anybody confirm if my screen is visible and I'm perfectly audible to everyone? So
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, so let me just begin. So the topic for today's web development session is JavaScript. So let's just move ahead with the agenda. And this is our agenda for today. I'll be covering the basic difference between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then we'll have a brief introduction of how JavaScript works. And then, similar to other programming languages, how do we have output statements, we have input statements, and then we have variables. So I'll be covering all those stuffs which would cover all my basics of JavaScript. So let me just move ahead. So, like class, if I just give you an introduction. So HTML is like the structure of my web page. So if we just compare it with a human body example, so the structure we have is HTML. So like the skeleton, if we can see in the image, so the skeleton is what is the structure of our HTML. It gives our web pages a skeleton, and then CSS is like it is basically used for designing our web pages. Like we can use internal CSS, external CSS, inline CSS to uh, design my web pages, similar to human body, how we beautify ourselves, adding clothes and all those stuff to us. And then JavaScript is class, like it gives functionality to my program. So for example, if we just compare it with a human body example, so how veins, arteries, it is used to carry blood. So similarly, class, JavaScript is mainly used to give functionality to my web pages. Okay, so if I just take an example of a calculator and then show you. So for example, if I have a calculator, so the structure of my calculator I'll define using HTML. Okay, so the structure would be HTML. Okay, and then I'll be using buttons, I'll be using number keys. So to design my buttons, to design the layout of my calculator, I'll be using CSS. And then to give functionality, so for example, to give numeric functionality, to give addition, subtraction, and then to define on click event. For example, if I'm clicking 2 into 2, so to give all those functionality to my program, to add events to my calculator, I'll be using JavaScript. Okay, so like HTML is used to define the content of my web pages, CSS is used to specify the layout of my web pages, and then JavaScript is to program the behavior of my web pages. So like in my previous classes, I've already covered this too, and today I'll be covering JavaScript. Okay, and for those of them who for whom it is first session, I'll be covering in upcoming sessions for all of you. Okay, so JavaScript is a list of programming statements, and JavaScript adds functionality to your program, as I told you. And JavaScript is programming language of the web. And then JavaScript is case sensitive. So, for example, if we see C, C++, or Java, those languages are not case sensitive. We can just write anyways. But in case of JavaScript, we always have to make sure that we are maintaining the case sensitiveness of my um, while typing my code. Okay, so for example, if anything goes wrong, so if I have to type document.get element by ID, or if I have to write a function, or if I have to declare variables, or if I have to declare keywords in my program, so in that case, always I have to make sure that I'm using I'm following proper code of conduct according to JavaScript. Okay, so case sensitiveness, language, keywords, variable, function names, and any other identifier must always be typed with a consistent capitalization of letters. So for example, if I'm declaring a string method, so what actually is a string method is, so for example, here I have a string. Okay, and then if I have to declare a variable, so for example, if I'm declaring hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, there was a power cut at my place and then I lost my connectivity. Yeah. So yeah, JavaScript, I covered this one. And then as I was telling, so JavaScript in like while writing my code in HTML using JavaScript, so the capitalization of letters, we always have to make sure that we are following all those things, okay? And then what happens is if you're not following, then we'll get errors. So like let me just cover variables now. So like if we see in C++, we declare variables, okay? So variables also will be declaring in JavaScript. Today I'll show you like while writing my program. So variables are used to store values, and then JavaScript uses var, let, and const to declare my variables. And then to assign a value to my variable, I'll be using equal sign, equal to symbol. And then if I want to declare two or more variables in JavaScript, I'll be using semicolon symbol. And then JavaScript uses arithmetic operators. This is to compute values, like similar to what we have in C++ and other programming languages. If I want to perform some mathematical operations on variables, I have to use these symbols. And then to declare variables, we have to use this keywords, var, let, and const. So let me just move ahead. So like JavaScript, to print output to my console, will be using these four statements which are displayed in the PPT. So I'll be using inner HTML, document.write, window.alert, and then console.log. So for example, if I have two variables, okay, and then if I want to print the output of those two variables in a statement, so to print the output, I'll be using inner HTML, or I can use document.write, or any of the four statements which are mentioned here. It is like similar to see like how we were using printf, how we were using scanf statements. So similar to that, I'll be using the statements to print my output in JavaScript today. So to writing into an HTML element using inner HTML, writing into the HTML output using document.write, and then if I want to print my output as an alert message to the console, so I'll be using window.alert, and then writing into the browser console, I'll be using console.log. So, class, the main intention here is like if any of us know C, C++, so the logic always remains the same in any programming languages. So, for example, if I want to add a number, or if I want to show the palindrome of a number, so the logic will always remain the same. The only thing which matters is the structure. So for example, in JavaScript, I have to write script, or I have to follow HTML, and then HTML opening, closing, all those things. And then in C, what I have to do is I have to import my directories. I have to then declare the variables. The logic always remains same, class. So once we understand the logic of any code, then structure is just remembering things, okay? And then we have keywords in JavaScript. So as I told you, var, let, and const I'll be using to declare a variable. So var declares a variable, let also declares a block of variable, constant I can use to declare a block constant. And then if I can use, if I want to put a conditional statement while writing my program, I can use switch, which marks a block of statements to be executed in different cases. I can use for if I have multiple conditions to be executed, marks a block of statements to be executed in a loop. I can use functions, okay, and then return, and then try catch. All those things are present in JavaScript also, okay? So class, like I'll show you how do we declare function, okay? So in JavaScript, if I want to declare a function, I have to use the keyword function, and then the name of my function followed by a round braces, okay? And then all the content which I want to display within my function, I'll be writing in curly braces. Okay, so JavaScript statements can be grouped together in code blocks inside my curly braces, and the purpose of code is to define statements to be executed together. And one place you'll find statements grouped together in blocks is in JavaScript functions. So as I told you, this is only the theoretical part which we can ignore. The main thing is the function keyword which we have to remember, and then whenever I'm like anything, I can just name my function. For example, ABC, XYZ, apple, orange, anything. You can just give the name of your function depending on the requirement. And then we have to make sure that I'm using round braces similar to other programming languages. And then the main code I'm writing in curly braces, and then the statements would be differentiated by would be differentiated by semicolon, okay? So like to if I'm writing any JavaScript program, I have to make sure that I'm using script, opening script tag, and then closing script tag. And then inside my script I can write uh, a block of statements which I want to which I want to execute, and then HTML opening tag, closing tag, as always. Okay, so let me just open notepad. So like I'll just um, like what I'll do is like I'll just use all the printing statements which I showed in the slide. And then also I'll be using all the like first program will just have a normal hello world program using JavaScript, and then we can use all the printing statements which we saw. Then we'll use string methods today, and then we'll see a function example. Okay, so let me just change the font size so that it's visible. The first thing in my code what I'll be writing is doctype.html, which is important as this document is an HTML type. So I'll write HTML. I don't know, every time my Angular braces takes a lot of time to be printed. And then I'll use HTML. Doc type defines that this document is an HTML type, and then HTML tag is a root element. Like if you miss this, we'll get errors. So every time when I'm using this HTML tag, I'll be using an opening HTML tag and a closing HTML tag similar to body. Whenever I'm writing a body section program, I have to make sure that I'm having an opening body tag and a closing body tag. And then herein I'll be using header h1 tag. Like in h1 tag, like I covered in other classes, but for those who are new, so we have h6, like h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, h6 header tags, which is mainly used to print headers. So herein this is my first program, so I'll write first program. And then h1 is the highest and h2 is the lowest. So herein, as I told you, what I'll be doing is I'll just try to print a hello similar to. So as I told you, we have to write script, as this is JavaScript program, and then our closing script tag. And then inside my script, what I'll write is document.write, ment document.write. And then herein what I'm writing is hello. Then we'll end our hello. And then after that, I'll end the body section of my program and then end HTML. So what I'll write is first program. So let's just open it. So yeah, as we can see, like this statements which I showed you, so the first statement which I used was, where is my statements? Yeah, so document.write, using this statement, I can just print statements to the console in JavaScript. And then the class here, the thing which we have to make sure is while writing the statements is, for example, if I'm using document.write, I have to give an argument. Okay, and if I see like using inner.html, I don't have to give any argument. I can just simply use is equal to and anything to print here. But in window.alert also, if I want to print any kind of output, I have to make sure that I'm giving an argument to my statement. Okay, so this is done. And then for example, if I want to perform any kind of arithmetical operations using document.write is, so for example, if I want to do 5 plus 5, so herein I can do 5 plus 5 here. Since this is not a string, so I can just write it like that. So yeah, if you can see, we have the output here. And then the next statement is, let's just use alert. So for example, if I want to use alert statement here, so I can remove this and then I can use alert. So if I want my message to be printed in as an alert whenever I'm running my program, so I'll get it as an alert. This is known as alert output statement. I can use alert also, or I can use window.alert also here. Window.alert. This would also uh, give my output as an alert statement, if you can see. And then alert is window.alert is done, document.write is done. And then what I can show you is what was next, window.print. So let me just show you that. Where is my notepad? And then herein in window.print, what I can do is, like I can also have a click on click event, like when on the click of my button, I'll try to print that particular page. I'll have button. And I also covered in, I guess, in the previous class, we can have input type is equal to button, input type is equal to checkbox, input type is equal to radio button, any such things. So here in what I'm giving is on click of my button, I'm trying to print a page. Okay, so I'll be using your window dot print, which is a predefined statement. I'm trying to print a page here. Okay, and then whatever comes after this is the name of my button, print page, and then I'll close the button tag. Then I can remove this thing, and then let's just save it. So your class, what I'm doing is I'm creating a button, and then on click is the event which I'm giving to my button, and then yeah, we can give here is equal to also. So on click of my button, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to print my particular page. Okay, I hope this is clear to everybody. Are we there, class, or you
Yes,
asleep?
ma'am.
Yeah, no, my PC is a bit slow. Okay, so maybe there's some error. That's why it's not executing. So window dot print, and then on click of my button, I'm trying to print that particular page. Did I miss something? Print this page slash button is closed, body is closed. Did I run the first only now? Check class. What is the error? Button on click is equal to window dot print. I have used a double quote also. Print this page. There's a name also given. Button is also closed. Just not use this script as is. This is normal code. So yeah, if we like this thing is not supported by script tag, that's why it was not doing. So if I click on print page, I'll be getting the output. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So like window dot print is covered, alert is covered, window dot alert is covered, and what I'll cover next is document dot get element by id. How do we do that? Okay, so let me just delete this, and then here I'll need script, because script was not supported that time, but it would, I would need it this time. So as I told you, this time I'll be printing using document dot get element by id. Okay, so document dot get e is capital. We have to make sure that we are using e as capital, otherwise we'll get errors. element element. B is again capital, Y is small, and then I is capital, D is small. Okay, make sure class you're just following this. Then I'll pass the parameters later on. Dot inner HTML. HTML in here, HTML would be in uppercase. And then what I want to print here is, as I told you, it won't need any, or like it would need arguments but not in curly brackets. So what I can do is 2 divided by 2, I can just try to print here, and then I'll end my statement. But since here it is, I'm using document dot get element by id, I would be also needing to declare a particular id here. Okay, so let me just declare an id, and we can declare that id inside my script tag, or I can just declare in the before id tag also. So what I'll do is I'll use a paragraph tag here to define an id. This id is nothing class, like as we know, like we also have some unique identifications like a pan number, Aadhaar number. So herein what I'm doing is I'm defining a unique ID, and then while running my code, I'll be using that ID. Okay. So herein the ID which I'll be declaring is let's say demo. Okay. So this is the ID which I have declared, and then I'll end my p tag. So what ID means is like ID element defines the HTML element, and this inner HTML defines my HTML content. Okay. and whenever I'm like whenever I'm using document or get element my id, so in that case I always have to make sure that I'm declaring an id. So herein I have to mention that id name also, which I have declared in my code previously. So let's just save it and then try to see the output. So again, there is something which is missing. Document not get element. As I told you, class, like whenever I'm, yeah, script tag. Thank you. Let's just save this. So class, if I can also show you, like I'll show you after this code runs. So whenever I'm writing any kind of JavaScript program, we always have to make sure that we are using proper capitalization of letters. So if I just do document as small, or if I just write uh, U as capital, it won't work because like there's a strict case sensitivity here in JavaScript. Okay, just run this. So yeah, if you can see, like we got the output of 2 divided by 2 as 1. Similarly, I can use other operations also here. So for example, I can use into operation. And then class, like you can just design a calculator also using JavaScript, okay, in your assignments maybe if you want. So yeah, if you can see, and then let's just herein what I did was like I just had a fixed number and then I was just dividing it. So now what I would do is I would just try to declare some variables also, and then we can just see how does that work. So herein I'll do declare three variables: a, b, and then maybe c, and then let's just end our declaration. As I told you, like let const and var is used to declare variables in JavaScript, and then I'll assign values to a, wherein I'm giving, let's say, 10 to a, and then semicolon. B, I'll give, let's say, 5. So this example is mainly to cover how variables are declared in JavaScript. Okay, B and then C. And to see like whatever operation I want to perform on C, I can just say, for example, I want to perform plus operation. So I can say A shift, where is my plus p, okay, and then I can just end my operation here. And then in an inner html, what I'll be printing is I'll be printing here, instead of 2 divided 2 in like the performing the operations here, what I would try to print is I would try to print my c variable. Okay, here in my a variable, what is the value which I'm storing is 10. In my b, the value which I'm storing is 5, and in c, what the value which I'm storing is a plus b. Okay, and then I'm printing my output in using inner html statement. No, yeah, if you can see, we got the output. Okay, and then next, what is remaining is so yeah, let's just cover string methods also in the same program. As I told you, my laptop is very slow, I don't know why. So like what I'll do is like if I want to calculate the length of a particular string, okay, so let's just see that how do we calculate the length of a string and use string methods in JavaScript. So what I'll do is I'll declare two variables here, and let's just not used abc. Here in what I'll use is I'll use str. So in my str, what I'm storing is I'll be storing a particular string. So let's just use web development. Okay, and then since it's a string, I have to make sure that I'm writing this in double quotes. And then what I'm declaring here is, okay, like in previous programs, what I was using is I was using let. So let's just use var here. I'm using var, and then since this program is to calculate the length of a particular string, I'll be using len. You can just have any kind of names to your variables. You can have a, b, c, x, y, z, anything you can have. But since to have an easy understanding, I'm using len. So to calculate my length, what I want to like to, if I want to calculate the length of this particular string, so what I have to use is str dot length function, length. Okay, and then I can write this particular length statement, and then I can just use simple printing statement. I can use document dot write, document dot write, and then inside my write statement, what I want to write, I want to write the length value ln, and then let's just close it. And then script is already closed, body is closed, HTML is closed. So let's just understand this code. So inside my code, what I'm doing is I'm just having two variables being declared. One is string str, and then inside my str, the value which I'm storing is web development. And inside my len, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out the length of my previous variable. Okay, so I'm using len gth function, which is already predefined in HTML. Okay, and then I'm using document.write print statement to print my length. Okay, and then let's just save it. Is it 15? Let's just try. I'm not sure if it is 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yes, ma'am.
6,
Yeah.
7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, it is 15. And then actually the length is only 14, but also the spaces it considered. Okay. So let's just now try to run it. It would be 14. Yeah. It was a quick catch, whoever told the answer. I'm very good. I was about to ask that, but yeah. And then what I'll do is this, like as I told you, space is also considered as one character in programming languages. So if I'm having two spaces or three spaces, and then if I try to save it, it would be more. So it is 17 now. So spaces are also considered as characters in HTML. So next program is, what I could do is, like, let's just try to find out a character at a particular position. Okay, so for this also, what I'll be having is, I'll be having two variables, and I'll be just changing this one. And if I want to find out the character at a particular position, so I'll be using char at function, and then the position at which I want to find out the character is 2. Let's say 2. So let me just save it, and let's just find out the character at a particular position. So for example, character at 2 is B. Okay, so 0, 1, 2. Indexing always starts as 0, so the position of 2 is, so at the position of 2, the value which I'm having is B. And then let's just also try to have character as 6, and then try to find out the character at 6. The character at 6 is V, so we can just have a dry run here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at 6th character, the value which I'm having is V. So similarly, like, there are other string methods also, so I can also show you, like for example, if I want to find out a substring of a particular string. Okay, to slice till that position, mainly substring is used. So let me just remove this, and then what I'll have is str.substr, and then the position till which I want to slice is, let's say, 2. And then let's just try to run it. So for example, after 2 position, the value which I'll be getting is my stop string. Okay, and then I'm similarly, and then I'm printing my output here. It is just same class. You can use all the what do we say, you can use all the string methods in one example only. It's just so easy. And then let me just show you this also, how do we use, like for example, if I want to replace web with some other values. So I'll just remove this substr, and then the method which is used is replace. And then in this case, I'll be having two arguments, one which I want to replace, and I want the older value and the newer value. So for example, in this case, I want to replace web with maybe today. So like the value which I want to, the current value I have to place at first. So for example, I want to replace your web, so I'm putting web at the first position, and I want to replace it with today, so I'm just replacing it. And then we have to separate these values using comma, and then that's it. Then let's just save it and run. See, yeah, if you can see, our web was replaced with today. Okay, and then what string method is left? So yeah, let me just show you how do we use this uppercase lowercase also. We can just see. To lowercase. I want to just, it is already in lowercase. Let me just write it in uppercase then. I want to print this particular value in uppercase, in lowercase. So let me just save it. Okay. Yeah. So here, can anybody guess what is the error here and why I did not get the output in lowercase?
L should be capital, ma'am.
Yeah. And, and. Yeah, there's one more catch class. Come on, guess it fast.
Document right len.
No, no, no. So as she told, L should be capital. Let me just try. It would not run, I'm sure. Anyone, any more guesses?
Header file missing.
No. Everything is there. It was running right previously with all these things. So there's no errors above this. There's error in this statement. C should also be in caps lock. That's why it was not running. So this is how JavaScript is. If you're not maintaining the case sensitivity of our code, it would not give us any output. So yeah, if we can just see, we have the output now in lowercase. So similarly, if I want to write it in uppercase, I can use upper. Just write any code. Is this clear class to everybody? All the string methods which I covered today, SUB,
Yes, ma'am.
str, ln, char, replace. Let me just see what is missing. If I missed anything. Yeah, class, anybody is having any doubts so far as of now? Yeah, function is pending. Let me just open function program also. So as I told you, class, like to declare any kind of function, the keyword which we have to use here is function. So herein what I'm doing is like this is a normal HTML program. I just explain you this stuff afterwards. But herein, like if I want to declare a function, so I'm using a function keyword followed by the name of my function with two round braces, okay? And then to write the block of code inside my function, I have to use curly braces. And then the two statements which I am printing here is good morning and then good. This is the statements which I want to, this is the block of statements which I'm printing inside my function. And then how the statements would be printed and then how my function would be called is like I'm using here event type on click. Okay, so on the click of my button, I'm just calling my function ABC. Okay, so whenever my code would run from the header file, what it would do is like as soon as it sees ABC, it would try to run this particular code which is there inside my function. So as soon as I give a click to my button, it would execute the statements which are there inside my function block. Okay, I hope this is clear. I explained this in the very beginning. So herein what I'm doing is I'm using document or get element by ID statement to print my values, and then here in id element defines my html element, and then inner html is used to define the html content to print my html content. And then whenever I'm using id, I have to make sure that I'm declaring my id before ahead. I can even declare my ids after this function also, but I have to make sure that I'm giving a unique id to my element. Okay, otherwise it would not run. So let's just run it. So on the click of my button, what is happening is the function is executed. So here we have an event type which is on click, and then we have a, on the click of my button, I'm trying to execute my function which I have declared. And inside my function, like I can just give anything here. I can just write uh, what do we say? I can just write addition, or I can just write a document, or write document, or write add two numbers, or just divide two numbers simply in arguments inside my function. Like whatever is my intention or whatever is my whatever it has been asked us to do, so we can do all these things here. Okay, everything is clear, class, to everyone, whatever topics I covered today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So in case if you have any doubts, you can reach out to me over
Yes,
WhatsApp. There's a
ma'am.
group for problem solving, and then you'll get your assignments by your mentors. Thank you, class. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.